Good afternoon. So, okay, we are where we are. I think in the previous classes we discussed actually we are discussing about the JSP and JDBCs, right? So in that where we are at the okay, we are at the retrieving the values and the form process, everything. So now I think okay, let's wait for 2 4 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. Let's see anybody joins, and after that, after the 2 minutes, I will start the class. Like this, I will take one more example on the form, like taking the input from the user, and we will check, like we will validate some of the users, and we will navigate him to the another third page. Okay. So let me wait for 2 minutes, and I will start the class. Okay, then we come to the class. Let me take one example on the form, and then we will go to the today like JDBCs. Okay, now how we will connect with an SQL. Now we need some files to connect with an SQL like a MySQL server and SQL client. Okay, these are the two softwares we need to install in our computers, and then we have MySQL connected jar file. Okay, then we will connect with the database. So that is the second step. So now let me share my Eclipse, and we will do one example like sharing, taking the user input and get logging. Okay, so the same page itself, let me take this, let me close all these things, and training, source, main, web INF, in the web, in this is the first page, right? In page. So here let me take one another link. Okay, for the hyperlinks, what we'll take, we take the anchor tags to create a hyperlink. So here I'm just giving the login. Okay, login form, and after this I'm taking one break tag, okay, to create one new line. And here in the h reference, okay, so let me take as a login.jsp page. So that page has to be created, right? So here we will create that page, new JSP file, okay, login.jsp, finish. Now this is our login.jsp page. Okay, save it. So in this login.jsp page, we need the form to take the data from the user. Just imagine his data is what we'll say, we will take one email and password, and that email has to be admin@gmail.com. Okay, we will take email and a password. We write it in the inside here, or else we can take it here itself. I think we need to take like this. Yeah, email is okay. Email is like admin@gmail.com. Okay, I'm just assuming admin@gmail.com, and the password is just some small dummy data. Okay, and the password is as a root. So we need to take the email and password to get into him login page and again home page. Okay, now let me create one more file, and I will say as a login action to take the data and to validate the data. Okay, after login action, okay, if the details are uh, correct, so then we will send him to the home page. So then we need to take one more file. I'm just creating the files. Okay, now this is in a home page. So here we have the three pages. So fourth page, from first page we will navigate to login page. Okay, here we will take the user data and we will send that data to the login action page. Here that data will be processed and it will validate whether the username and the password is correct or not. Then if it is correct, then it will send it to the home page. Okay, so if it is not correct, okay, the details are invalid, then again it will send him to the login page. Okay, so we will see now. So to take the input from the user, what we need to take, see here in the title we can give it as a login, so that title will be visible in the top of our tab. Okay, now here to take the let me take one header with two as a customer login, something customer, student, or anything. Okay, now here I'm taking the form. Okay, form tag, you know already, to take the inputs, take the data from the user, we use a form. And in the form tag we have action attribute and also the method attributes. Okay, so this is an sensitive data, we're using the post method. And for the action, where we need to send the data to the login action.jsp. So that's the reason I created that, the beginning login action.jsp page. Okay, now inside the form, what we need to take, we need to take the two inputs, one for email and one for password. and one finally for submit button. Okay, so before that I'm taking one label. Okay, like just enter email, and if you don't want to take the label, you can also give that with the placeholder attribute in the input tag. Okay, in the input tag you can name equals to email and type, and we have the type of email also, so you can give the email. It will check, it will validate that email whether it is an email, like it has to contain at the rate symbol. So without the email type, it doesn't validate that email or any text. Okay, so name, type, and we need a required attribute. And if you want to use a placeholder, you can use that placeholder, and inside that you can say enter email. Okay, now I'm just using one break, create a new line, and again I'm using the label. Okay, here I'm asking to enter, or let me give it as a password. Okay, give it as a password, and let me take one more label. Okay, sorry, I already taken the label, right? The input, and here we have the type known as a password, and for the emails in the password it will be like, it will not show to you password. Okay, it will show you the dots in the place of the characters. So that's why we're using the type, and we need to give the name of that, and I'm taking the pwd and the required attribute. Okay, you know already, right, why we use that required attribute? I think everybody knows. And the placeholder required attribute will, it will indicate the user it is in a mandatory field to enter the data, enter password. Now taking one more break, and here I'm taking the input, and here why I'm taking input, take the button as a submit button. So if you want to give the value for that, you can take it by the value attribute as a login. Okay, so let me save this and let me run this program, and let me show you how it's really run as. Run on server, select the server, finish, and it will be 1 second, it's loading. Yeah, now mm, 1 second. Let me share this. Yeah, okay, so this is our file. Okay, here this is in the end file. Okay, ind.jsp, this is the first one, and here we have the login form. Okay, when I click it on the login form, it's coming. Okay, it's navigating to the login.jsp page, and here we can see the customer login. It asking me enter email. This is because we have used a placeholder. If you didn't use a placeholder, it will not visible any text inside that input. Okay, so now I'm just, and if I enter the login, okay, it's asking please fill out the field, because here we use the required attribute. Now let me enter some random text here. See, it asking me what it's asking. See, login, see, please include an @ in the email address. Radha is missing an @, so that's the reason we have taken the type of the email, gmail.com, and just simply login. See, again asking, so why we use. Okay, see here it is giving you the, okay, here it is giving you the dot symbols, not the all the characters what we are entering. See, okay, so when you click this, you get, okay, so login. So it coming into the login option, but it doesn't showing anything because we didn't written any code in that page, which is nothing but login action page. So now see, we have written everything, right? So when he submit the data, it will go into login action .jsp. So it will send the data, enter data into the login action. So here we need to retrieve that data. Okay, let me retrieve the data. For that, we using the scripted tags to write the JSP code. So now string, I'm taking one string and email. So you know, right, how to get the data from the form. Okay, it will send the data in the request. Okay, so we need to retrieve that data by using the name of that particular input. Okay, so how? We have a syntax request dot get parameter of that name, particular name. What is that name? Here I have given the email, or you can give the C email, or you can give the S email. It's whatever, it's fine. Okay, Control C and using this email, and we are taking the string pwd equals to request dot get parameter of whatever the name we have given here, login.jsp page pwd. Okay, so now here we retrieve the data. Okay, as I said, right, we just assuming as an email equals to some admin @gmail.com and password as password something root. Okay, and this assuming as this email and the password. Okay, so that data has to be given here. To check this, I'm giving here that the email okay equals to admin @gmail.com. Okay, data strings and this string correct password equals to root. Okay, these are the original. Actually, we need to retrieve this data from the database, but before the database, I'm just explaining you how to validate a particular user data. Okay, so now here whatever the data the user will enter, that data will be stored in this email and the password. But here the correct email and the correct password will be stored in this. So then by using the if conditions, if whatever the email he has entered, email dot equals method, we have the equals and ignore case, or you can just simply give the equals to correct email. Okay, equals to correct email, and symbol here we use and logical and we'll check whether the pwd whatever he has entered is corrected with the password. Okay, so then here we will print it as like system, or else we can navigate him. Okay, so we'll just use a response dot one second response dot guide. What is that page? If it is not correct, okay, then we want to send it again to the login page. Okay, so if it is correct, then it will go to the home page. Here let me take that h3 just welcome to the database connectivity class. Okay, let me save this and let me run this. Share something. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let me refresh this. And here, let me enter the wrong email first. radha@gmail.com and root. Okay, so when I click it, see, okay, sorry, project.login is not okay. Here I didn't return JSP, so here we need to send the data to the login.jsp homepage.jsp. Okay, now let me refresh this again. radh@gmail.com and some data. Okay, login. See here, we give the min@, or let me do some modifications in this code, just like 1 second. Okay, we will send the message here like out.println or yeah, out.println as successfully logged in. Just give here invalid details. Please try again. Okay, now here let me refresh this once again. Okay, now here I will enter the wrong details again. Email.com root. Okay, now when I click on this the login button, okay, it's again different. Oh, 1 second. Is it going to login action login? Yeah, the console. So yeah, it doesn't show me here. Login action is email password. Email and password. I think this is a one. Admin no, I think something is refreshing. Gmail.com. Actually, it's not. Let me run this once again. So we'll see whether it's working. Sorry. What's happening? Login action dot JSP. Okay, let me see just like this. Let me give the admin the rate gmail.com, and in the place of the password, let me take that root. Let me refresh this again. And now let me check this. No. So then we will do like this. Email dot equals ignore case. Okay, so inside this you can, yeah, sorry, we need to take this email. Okay, so in this password also equals ignores case and CWT. Let me check this now. First it and the root. Okay. Yeah, one more thing we can do it in this code is like here, instead of using this, okay, like, let me show you one example here. Like I am closing that loop, okay, and I just want to use a JSP include page. Okay, if it is, if the details are valid, okay, so I need to send the data. Okay, whatever I need to navigate to the home page. So that page has to be homepage.jsp. So just like this, if the user is details are invalid, then I want to send him to the login.jsp page. Okay, let me do this now and just refreshing that macros. Okay, let's refresh this and gmail.com root. Yeah, see, it's showing me the invalid details and please try again. Actually, here we use the response dot send redirect also, but I don't know why it's not working here. But here, instead of using response dot send redirect, we can also use the JSP include tag. So here where we use JSP include tag, that tag will be included in this. Okay, when the user is corrected, it will be navigated to home page. If the user details are not correct, it will be navigated to the login page with the message. But here if we use the forward, okay, if you have user forward, okay, it will not show the any message whatever is given. Okay, so let me show you this. Okay, let me run this again with the correct details, then it will not show you any message. Okay, so we will see this. Just refreshing this, just refreshing. Yeah, here let me give the correct details. What are the correct details? Admin at the rate gmail.com and the root. Okay, when I click on the login button, see, it will directly go to the home page, but it's not showing me any welcome page because here we didn't use a include. So if we use include, then it will take whatever the message we are giving there. Okay, so let me go it here and refresh it. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, admin gmail.com root login. See, now it's giving the message because, okay, now it's showing the message in our web application. So why? Because here when you use the include, then it will show you that message, but when you have used your forward tag, it will not show you any message with that page. Okay, so now I think we are okay with this, and what we need to do now is let's go into the topic of JDBC. Okay, so JDBC is what we can say now. JDBC is like as I explained on the first day. Okay, JDBC is in a database connectivity. Okay, let me write that JDBC. JDBC. Okay, JDBC is nothing but a Java database. Okay, Java database connectivity. Java database connectivity. It is a Java based API. Okay, that is we call it as an API, and that allows okay, whatever the programs are trying to connect with the database by like to execute the small queries and to process the result of the user. So when we are trying to connect with the database, we need the JDBC, which is nothing but the Java API. It allows whatever the programs are connecting to the database and execute that SQL queries and process the results. Okay, so JDBC is like a bridge between whatever the Java applications are there and the databases applications. Database applications are like, see, we have the database, okay, MySQL, Oracle, SQL Server, all those things. So here, when we need to connect with the Java programs and the MySQL or Oracle or SQL, we need the JDBC. Okay, so that is nothing but the Java database connectivity. So here also in our projects like dynamic web project, we use a database to store the all the information whatever the client is using, or if we are the vendors, when we want to place any products in our applications, we need to store the data. So to store the data of the project, we need to use a database. So to connect with the database with the Java, okay, so we need an a JDBC, which is nothing but an API. So we can say it as it allows, okay, it allows Java programs or tasks to connect to the databases and execute SQL queries. Okay, SQL queries, and it acts as a bridge. Okay, it acts as a bridge between Java applications and the database. Example of databases are like MySQL, Oracle, etc. Oracle and etc. So this is about the Java database connectivity. This is a basic example, like basic definition. So why we use the JDBC, as I explained, to store the data of the application and to retrieve whatever the information is stored in the database. So in some reasons, when he want to update his data or when we want to show the data to the users, we need to retrieve the data, whatever is stored in the database, and we need to retrieve the data. And when you want to update the data, whatever the data is stored in that, when you want to update it, you can update it by the JDBC, and you can delete that data from the database also. So for all these kind of operations, we need the JDBC. Okay, to separate and also one of the major reason is like we want to separate whatever the business logic is there with like in the Java code. Okay, that logic has to be we will separate that logic from the database storage. Okay, we will store the database, whatever the information is retrieving or whatever the database we are using in the applications and we are adding in the applications, we are separating that data and also from the Java code. Okay, whatever the business logic code is there, right? So we want to generate one program, so we are writing lot of code, so that is also called as a data, but we are separating that data and our original data. Okay, user data or and it also like enables JDBC also enables data driven apps of the Java. Okay, and dynamic, it also provides a dynamic data, because when we want to store the data, we can store it and we can retrieve it and we can update it and we can delete it. So this is all known as a dynamic. So one of the major future is like to store and retrieve, update and delete. Okay, and this is also we can write like to separate business logic is nothing but the whatever the logic programming code we are writing in the Java. Okay, Java code, we can call it as Java code from the data storage, which is nothing but the database. Okay, now we have some components in the JDBC. Okay, actually we need connection between the program and our the database. So we have the components in the JDBC. So like what we can say is the driver manager and the driver and the connections and the statements and the result set of that statements. Okay, so let me write it out here so you can see. We have the component name as a driver manager. So what is actually driver manager means? It actually manages all the JDBC drivers. Okay, whatever the drivers are there within the JDBC, that driver manager will be manages that drivers. Okay, so and we have the driver component. We have the driver component, and that is nothing but implement that database connectivity. Okay, whatever we want to create the connectivity within database, by using the driver we will create that implementation. Okay, we implementation, and what we can say is database connectivity. Okay, now we have the connection component. Okay, we have the connection component, and which is nothing but it will represents, okay, uh, like a sessions. Okay, for a particular specific database, it, it represents as a session for that particular database, and we can say like a represents a session with a specific database. So if you want to connect with a particular database, like if I'm developed one medical app, okay, so that for that application I have in a medical DB, and if I developed in a transport application, so for the transport application we have separate DB. So for a session we need to create a specific session with the database connectivity. So when you want to create that, we use the connection component. Okay, specific database, and we have the statements. Okay, here like statement, prepared statement, all the statements. Okay, so here why we use the statements are, if you want to execute the SQL queries within your JDBC code, so we use the statements to execute that queries. Okay, and we can say it as user to execute SQL queries. Let me write it as a queries. Okay, and last what we have the result set. Okay, the result set will, here see, by using the statements you will, okay, by using the statements you will execute the queries, okay, in the JDBC in the SQL actually. Okay, so now by using the result set, okay, by using the result set, you when you are like, see here in the SQL queries you can write it like if you want to store the data you will insert the data, if you want to retrieve the data you will select the data from the database, if you want to update the data you will update the data and then delete the data. Okay, so whatever, if you are retrieving the data, so that data will be stored in the, that data will be stored in one component. Okay, so in the result set will, what will do is it will hold the data, whatever the data is retrieved from the, okay, retrieved from the database. So when you are retrieving the data from the database, you need to use the result set compulsory. Okay, So these are the main components of the JDBC, and this is in a JDBC, and why we use a JDBC. Okay, so this is about the JDBC. So how it actually works means, like, first what we need to do is we need to first load the JDBC driver, like creating one JSP file in that. Okay, so in that we need to some create the class. Okay, so first we need to load the JDBC driver. Okay, we need to load the JDBC driver, and after that we need to create the connection by using the driver manager. And in the driver manager we have the method known as a get connection. Okay, in that get connection we need to give the URL for that, and username and password. Okay, so then after that, okay, now that connection will be, okay, the connection will be created. Then after that we can use the statements, and then you can execute the queries, and then you can result, like by using the result set you can retrieve the data, and you can also close the connection of that data. Okay, so first what we need is here we need the jar driver. Okay, so first you need to load the class, okay. With here we use the com.mysql.pg.jdbc.driver. So that has to be created in one JSP page. Okay, so and we have the URL format. Actually, let me copy that from where. Yeah, this is an URL. Okay, so that URL has to be like JDBC MySQL. Okay, localhost, and here you need to give the database name, and comma, and here you need to give the username of that, and you need to give the password of the database. Okay, so this is see, let me give that connection name also. Like when you load this and you need to create the connection like this, driver.manager, in the place of the URL you need to place this one. Okay, so here we will connect like this. Okay, so username and password. Okay, so this is how the connection will be established for one database. Okay, by using that con, okay, by using this con object of that, we can send the data and we can retrieve the data. Okay, so this is about today's class. Okay, we will discuss about that connections and how we'll create one sample example in the tomorrow's class, and we'll see how it works. Okay, so thank you for today's class. And if you have any doubts regarding anything from previous classes or today's class, just ping me in the WhatsApp, or you can attend the class.